So, what are we talking about today?
So today we are talking about the thing that almost every single realtor seems to have lost their brains about,
Mm-hmm.
and that is the NAR settlement and the new rules that have rolled out.
Yeah,
So I think a little background is first in order. So Tina, do you want to explain how things used to work?
sure.
Just
Before,
X's and Y's, not numbers.
yes.
Yeah.
So, before, basically, a listing agent would work with a seller. They would negotiate a seller's commission, and through the seller's commission, that would pay the listing agent X amount, and then that X amount would be split however they want to split it to a buyer's agent that would be bringing a buyer. So I think where a lot of the hubbub is that the seller is paying for the buyer's agent through that path of money.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was almost like it was pre-negotiated. And so we had the sellers saying they felt like they couldn't negotiate. And we had the buyers saying that they felt they couldn't negotiate
Mm-hmm.
because it was just, kind of whatever was going on. So I think it was necessary, I think, um, to show our professionalism, to show our value. But because it's been that way for so long, it's just people, they're just losing it. They're just full on losing it. Um, how important do you think this is? Like, what are your personal feelings on it?
Well, can I go back just a little bit? There's a point that you said, and that I kind of want to address it just
Of
in my
course.
head. I don't know how relevant it is to anybody else, but I feel like somewhere along the lines, I remember taking some real estate refresher courses through our continuing education. But it was basically saying how realtors came about because they were to help the sellers list properties. Buyer agents didn't come about until later.
Right.
So I think where this commission part came from was originally between the listing agent and a seller. Buyers didn't have agents when everything started. So I think maybe like as buyers agents became more popular and more needed, then they did a something to pay them. But like now we're in a totally different world. Buyers agents are very critical. I feel like more than anything,
Yeah.
buyers need to be helped and had things explained, how this is going to hurt them, how this is going to help them. And so the buyers agents have taken a totally different role maybe than what it was when commissions first came out.
Right. And I think a
So,
big thing to say is, yeah, I think that you're exactly right. Buyer's agents are so, so, so important. And I do mostly listings, but I don't double end.
mm,
So I want to make sure there's somebody who knows what they're doing on the other side to protect their client. And for me personally, like there's a caveat to when we get to it, like how they switch things, that if somebody tries to just approach me thinking that realtors just want money, and so
yeah,
if they use me for both, then I'm just going to accept their offer. And it's A, not true. And B, I think it's just a disservice. It's hard, very, very hard. And I'm not saying that people can't do it. I'm saying that some agents are very, very able to straddle that line. I just know that I can't be a bulldog for two entities that are at odds.
yeah,
They want to net more, they want to pay less. How do you negotiate that if
right.
you know everything? And what I always tell my sellers is, why, if I'm put in front of this buyer because of your listing, how is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
You know, shouldn't I be more likely to defend my seller? So,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that buyer's agents are super, super important. And I think that it's the best way to ensure that both parties are protected.
Yeah, so California is a dual agency state, and unlike you, I do double end deals, but they are more difficult, and I'm just more cognizant of
Yeah.
that straddling. So, I do have to be very aware of like, I have to make sure that I know exactly as much as I can, what can be disclosed, what can't be disclosed,
Right.
what you have
Right.
to, who, in what statement are you helping who? And that can be very confusing.
Right.
Yeah.
And the big thing in California is, yes, you can do dual agency. Your seller has to be okay with it. Your buyer
Yes.
has to be
Everybody has
okay
to
with
know.
it. Yeah,
Every all the parties have to know that this is happening. It's not,
correct.
yeah, I'm dating other people, it's
Right.
basically what is happening, and everyone has to be okay with this. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Which it is less, it's more communication in making sure that the lines are set, but
mhm.
it's less communication because you're not trying to call somebody else to let them know what's happening so that they can call
Right.
your client. So I get it.
Yeah.
It's not my shtick,
Yeah.
but yeah, I totally get exactly where it's coming from. So the change from that to what now has come down is basically saying that, for a listing, the listing agent talks to the seller about what their compensation is going to be. And then as the buyer comes in with their agent, they negotiate either that the seller's going to pay their compensation,
Mhm.
that they will pay the compensation of their own agent, or some kind of mix in between.
Mhm.
So it's really just setting things up from the very beginning. I think that the thing that's the hardest for buyers right now to understand is we are absolutely required in California to have them sign something before we show them houses.
Right. And that started August 17th or something, right?
Yep, August
Yeah.
17th.
August 17th. So now, with all of the buyer's agents, that's going to be the first document that you're going to see and sign with your buyer.
Hmm.
And, they're going to, before we used to say, oh, yeah, you don't have to pay anything, buyer. But, now we have to think about those things. They may still not pay something, but
Right.
through the seller's compensation. But that's something, yeah, that's a conversation you need to have with your buyer.
Which is so, so important, actually. So, any agents that are watching this first, like, talk to your broker
Mm,
about how they want you to do it. Don't take it from us because your broker may do something different and you want to
right,
make sure that you toe the line of how they do it.
right.
Um, it is required though that you sign this. Don't get cutesy. Don't get demure. Sorry. Um, just go by the book. Don't try to hide things. Don't try to put things out there. You're gonna get in trouble,
Yeah,
and the fines are huge. So just do the paperwork, talk to your clients, and then when you're writing these offers, just it's just another point of negotiation.
yeah. For me, it's just another fact of the transaction, another
Right.
fact that the buyer should know.
Right.
And so I like to deal in those facty type of realms. It feels like very concrete. It feels very safe for me. So I feel like this contract of having the buyer representation, I've already talked to my office agents about it. We've talked about how we're gonna roll out with it, and I don't know. Have you talked about it with your agents and your coworkers?
Yeah, so well, my broker had a big, huge thing about, how to do it or how best to do it. I've
Mm-hmm.
talked to some of my other friends in the industry. Talked to my friend actually from Washington, and what she does is for the very first time they go out, she just puts the homes they're seeing that day.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's exclusive for those homes.
Right.
And then it kind of gives a test run. Like if you guys like each other, then she's going to send you out, a longer time period where you're exclusive,
Right.
or you keep on dating and try to figure out, how things go. And so it satisfies both the rule and it also allows you to get to know somebody.
Yeah.
You can get to know if they're going to work well with you. If they're answering the questions and they're truly helping you, then sign it.
So maybe as if any buyers are listening to this and they're thinking how they need to adapt to this new world of real estate, they can maybe look for agents who are willing to do like a shorter like introductory time period of how long are we going to work together, and then if they like it they can renew, if they like
Right.
it they can extend. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just about your comfortability, but it has to be done. So if
Yeah.
you're calling an agent and they're willing to show you without doing it, that's also a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
It's awkward. It's the new reality, but just do it.
Yeah, I would be sketchy if I was a buyer with a new buyer's agent who isn't bringing them a contract, signing it, because I'm like, do they not know what's going on? Are they so old school that they're not going to get on board with any new changes, new rules? Like, are they even aware? Are they going to watch out for me? Like, how can they fight for me if they don't know what's going on?
In
You
their
know?
own industry, in
Right,
their own
right,
industry. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
I actually had a talk with one of my sellers today about that, and an agent that had wanted to represent them who did not know. And she had my client knew just based on, you know,
Watching the news.
yeah.
Wow.
And so she kind of brought it up to her, and she's like, what? And she's like, "Nee." Like,
How it's been all over the place. We've been talking about it since before
yeah,
we took a break on this podcast. Like,
yeah, yeah. Right.
which
For
has been
years,
how many
for literal
months?
years. Well, and I want to say, so the research on the actual lawsuits that brought this about, um, that's been ongoing for like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be under a rock, and it
Yeah.
has to be a big rock, and it's probably an asteroid. So
On
just
another planet?
maybe
Maybe?
they hit here. They just got really hot
Where
first.
houses don't exist, apparently.
Maybe
Mm.
caves. But it's just super smart. It's just an extra talking point. It's an extra negotiation point. It's something that's legitimate and real. And it's something that I truly think like 2 months from now, we won't be talking about anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just gonna be what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And there's things that you can use to your advantage for the negotiation factor and getting your offer accepted. So just have those discussions with your representative, and get her done.
Yeah. I'm excited. I think the last time we had kind of touched on the subject, I was very much like, throw it all up in the air. You know, let's start fresh.
Yeah,
I like change. I like the fact that we're all going through this together. It's not
yeah,
just change for me and
right.
you know, it's the entire all of us.
Right.
We're navigating this new world together. And I feel like people who are good at adapting, who are good at like seeing how this is bringing value to the people that they work with, they're going to be fine, you know?
Professionals are going to be
Yeah,
fine.
they're going to
Yeah,
be fine.
yeah. And I think it's interesting. One of the other things I heard about recently, so CAR made a CAR being California Association of Realtors, did a prediction of what they think is going to happen in the amount of licensees.
Mm-hmm.
So they anticipate that by the end of this year, we'll actually go down by about 6.7% in licensees, and by the end of next year, about 7.1%
Mm,
additionally. And that's a lot of things though, guys. That's not just this. Some of it might be if they're close to retirement and they just don't want to deal with it. Yeah, maybe they say peace out.
yeah.
But I think that it's been a very interesting year in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not been normal. 2024 has been so awesomely weird, which is weird to say.
I
But
feel sorry. Go
yeah, go
ahead.
ahead. No,
I was like, I feel like if there is a decline in real estate agents, where there always is, for me, I feel like that would maybe be more because of interest rates and how maybe difficult it is to be able to finance a home as a
right.
buyer. So I think for that reason, I think that's why agents get out because it's not as easy as it is during the hot times. I don't think for me the NAR changes, at least for me. Maybe if,
Right.
like you said, a retired person where they're like, I don't want to deal with this paperwork, you know, someone who's not interested in doing that could get out of the business because of the NAR changes. But I think the majority would be for high interest rates.
And business likelihood. So if you don't have as many homes that are on the market to sell, then the traction you just unfortunately there's been a lot of agents who just haven't been able to get the traction to get going.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we talked about this before about like just survive until you can thrive right now. Like
Mm-hmm.
just keep at it. Because typically when you quit, you're so close to getting that next thing that could change your whole trajectory in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So don't allow this one thing to be the thing that stops you. But I'm kind of excited. I'm hoping that it just raises our professionalism as an industry.
I feel like things have. I feel like real estate agents. I could be totally off wrong, but I feel like we're not like we have so many ethics classes. We have so many, you know, obligations, responsibilities, all of those things. I feel like it's changed the profession to something that is more client based, customer service at a higher level, of service.
And I think that what we don't do a fantastic job saying about ourselves is the amount of times that we truly do protect our clients and how it is the biggest financial decision that you make. And you need a professional by your side to think about the things that you're not going to. Because I know, like, I go to look at a house with my clients and they're looking at, the layouts of the rooms and how their stuff can fit. And I'm looking at the roof.
Right.
I'm looking to see what that little like puddle in the corner is. And the issues that could be bigger that they're just not aware of.
Yeah, because of our experience of knowing what could go wrong, where are the
Right.
issues that are expensive, where are the issues that could be potential problems if they're not taken care of. They don't have that. I feel like for most people who are buying, it's a feeling rather than a logical decision.
Oh,
Everyone
absolutely.
wants to say that it's logical. They're like, oh, I'm buying this for an investment. But I was like, no, not really. You're buying it for yourself to live in, and you like it because it's light and bright, and you
Right.
like the fact that this room goes into this other one. It makes you feel good. And so people, I feel, often make decisions based on their feelings. And
Oh,
so,
absolutely.
we're not. We've seen so many homes that this home is no more feeling than any other home, and it's not for us. So we get to be that logical side to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, yeah, it's just that experience of knowing like if the roof looks granulated, then that could be an issue. If it looks like there's more than 3 layers, that could be an issue. Like just the things that we've been through, absolutely. And
Right.
not even just that, like just the things that come up during the contract. Like you get the disclosures, you have to negotiate, know that seller may not be willing to make repairs, all of the
Right.
things just to help. We really just educate. We give them the options, and then no matter
Right.
what, it's our clients that decide what to do.
Yeah.
But you need somebody who can give you options.
Right.
So
I absolutely agree with that. Um, I don't know what I was going to talk about. I was going to follow that up with something. I was like, and it's
you're so
gone now.
close. You're so
It's
close.
gone. It's gone.
I think that I wish, and what I need to do more of is have my clients tell our story. Have our clients say exactly how they felt when they were able to say, like, hey, Tina, I'm really worried about this, and how we worked through it and got to where they wanted to be. Or like I've had clients before that are almost about to give up, and I said, I'm really worried that if you give up, that you're going to be priced out of the market.
Yeah.
So if you want to do that, let's make sure it's for the right reasons, and let's exhaust every avenue possible to get us to what you truly want. And they ended up closing escrow. So like you need somebody to advocate for you when you're not sure about what the right path is.
Right. I think I know that this has come up before, but a lot of people who are in sales can be very charismatic, extroverted, and sometimes they're too busy. I'm not saying everybody, but sometimes when they're a new agent, they're too busy trying to be charismatic, and they're afraid that their people skills or whatever. I think in the end, really though, a good skill for a real estate agent is to really listen,
Oh,
because
yeah.
sometimes people will say certain things. They'll say ABC, but then, through working with them and having everyone trust each other, and then you can ask a little bit deeper. Okay, what does A mean to you?
Right.
Like, someone will say, oh, I need a two-story house. I'm like, okay, I can look for two-story houses, but what does that mean to you? Why do you want a two-story house? And then you kind of figure out, oh, I don't want my kids to be downstairs. I want the area that, to me, that's like, I want the area to be safe. And I don't,
Right.
so there's like layers underneath what people are saying. And so like you have to listen and to like process that and see what people really want. So I think for this NAR thing, it goes back to buyers agents listening to their buyers, telling, using what they're saying, and then finding out ways to help them get what they really want, not just, oh, I need a 4 bedroom, two-story.
Right.
That's just this level. We're getting deep.
Right. Yeah, and it's the nonverbal cues too, right? So they
Mm-hmm.
tell us one thing, but then that's why I love going out with my clients and looking, because I can
Yeah.
see what their eyes light up about and what they're actually really excited about and what truly means to them when they may not quite know it yet or they
Yeah.
just can't verbalize it yet. And
Mm-hmm.
so just to be able to match make a home
Mm-hmm.
with them based on actually listening and, getting them to that next level.
So, what do you think buyers agents should be doing beyond just getting buyers to, talk about the buyer representation forms? Is this NAR settlement? Is it gonna bring, what else should buyers agents be looking for with these changes besides just that?
I think they need to get really good about just showing their worth and
Mm-hmm.
and showing how they truly do help, and how if you don't use an agent, the downfalls and the pitfalls of that,
Mm-hmm.
um, and how we're worth every single penny.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that sometimes that's hard to show because when they're at the beginning, it costs a lot of money to buy a home.
Yeah.
And so if they're just getting to the point where they have their money for their down payment, they have their money for their closing costs, and now we say, "Oh, and you need to pay us this." I get it. It's a lot. But because you're using somebody who has the skill set to negotiate and make sure that you're taken care of and the seller's happy and you have this happy medium, then it's absolutely doable. Allow us to help you understand it's not as daunting as what you may think.
I also saw, and I don't remember the article right now, but I saw that two states already had this buyer representation in place already, even before the NAR settlement.
Way more than two.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Quite a lot of states.
yeah. And they were kind of interviewing some of the top agents in their little areas, and they were saying, like, okay, what are things that realtors like in California should be knowing about these changes? And it seemed very obvious, I guess. It's basically what we were talking about. And they didn't have any secret sauce or
Big
anything.
ahas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just like, no, we just talk about it and people are okay with it. Most people like, so I was like, oh, okay, well, that's good to know. I was like, oh, well, that was not, I don't know, no big reveal.
Well, not only do other states already do it, we've had this document. We've had a buyer broker form
Yeah,
accessible for 10 years.
yeah.
The issue is if every realtor's not using it, then there's just less of an impetus to make it happen. So
Mm-hmm.
now actually, I don't know the law, but there is a law being rolled out saying that we have to.
Yeah.
Not only does the Department of Justice mandate that this is the way we need to move forward, there's a new law coming out that says it needs to happen. And it's sad that we had to get to that point, but I can also see why it's necessary that it had to get to that point. So it is what it is. It's a beautiful new world.
Have
I
you
actually
ever used the buyer representation form before?
No.
No.
And
I've
actually, so I
used
used
it
to joke
once.
around. Did you?
Yeah, one time.
I may have used it once, and it was because my client really seemed like they may be like using a bunch of different people.
Right.
And so I just want to say, like, if I'm going to put everything out there for you, I
Mm-hmm.
want you to commit to me. So
Right.
yeah, maybe once, but we've talked about it a lot with some of my other friends about how, well, if Jen doesn't do it, then why should I have to, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we all have to.
Yeah.
So doesn't matter how many agents you call. And in fact, again, it's a red flag if they say, okay, let's just do this. And I did my first one. When was that? Just over this past weekend. It was awkward. And I've kind of role played. I've read through the whole thing several times,
Yeah.
but it's still new.
Mm-hmm.
But my client said, "Oh yeah, we heard about this. Oh yeah, we understand." And
Yeah.
and we just went through it, got it signed, and it was done. And it was probably way more painful in my head than what it was to them, just because it's just something that I'm learning.
Yeah. I think for my agents, because most of them are new to the industry, they're maybe 2 years in, 1 year in. So this change didn't seem like a big deal. They're learning a lot of different forms, and they're like, okay, one more form, So she was one of the agents was just like, okay, I just have people sign this. I'm like, yeah, talk to them about it, and let them know what they're signing. But yes, she's like, okay. It was like
Right?
no big deal for her. She was like,
Right.
all right, it's just another form. So I
And that's
think
the best way to
there's
think about it. Yeah.
pushback from like the agents that have been around a while.
That people who don't like change.
Yeah,
But
people who don't like change.
what is the only thing about our industry that is constant?
Change,
Yeah. So if you don't like it, this may not be the gig for you.
right? I think you
You
have to
love
really
change.
embrace it.
It
Yeah,
is.
I
I love
love,
change too. Yeah.
yes.
It's not boring. Something new is
No,
going to happen. Yeah.
no. It's scary but fun. It's like the roller coaster ride. It's like jumping off a something, But this is
Very
way
fun.
safer. I'm just kidding.
Yes, this is way safer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, like, my big thing is I wish it wasn't, I don't know, the 8 pages that it is.
Mm-hmm.
I do wish it was a little bit shorter, but it is what it is. And I know that our lawyers are there with CAR for a reason. This paperwork is there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna do it, and it's
Yeah.
all gonna be fine. I had a really interesting call just over the weekend. Really smart thing that a lender did.
Mm.
He called me up, and in order to kind of break that ice, said, "Hey, so how are you doing this whole settlement thing?" Right? Because everybody
Yeah.
wants to talk about it.
Yes.
Everybody wants to know what everybody's viewpoint is on it. So I was like,
Yes.
fantastic, smart thing to do to break the ice.
Yeah.
And the other thing he said that I thought was really interesting was, you are one of the mm, most of the people that I talk to have been very pessimistic about it and very worried about it. You are one of the only people that I have talked to so far that has been, positive about it, and has framed it in a better way.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I really appreciate that. And I know that change is scary and that people are being weird about it, but he's
Yeah.
like, I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And so, lenders, call your agents if you want to make a new thing, because it's a super smart thing to get through the door, because normally we're kind of hard. But just
I
have it.
like talking to random people who call me on the phone. I
Yes, you
really
do.
do. When you
You
can get
love
me on
talking
the
to
phone, I
salespeople.
like talking to salespeople. I'm interested in how they're gonna sell me. Some part of that is like, I'm like, okay, I'm open. Let me see what you do.
And I'm the exact opposite. If I feel like somebody's being salesy, I'm like, oh, but what if you thought about making that decision and then you just made it right now? How do you think that would sit? No, I'm gonna wait. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't like it when they start to insult you or anything like that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really into that, but like I like it when they're creative about it. So I
Yeah,
think I
yeah.
leave my door open. I'm like, okay, sell me. Like I want to be sold to. Do it.
You appreciate the science and the
Yes. And I
methodology.
appreciate their gutsiness at trying
Yeah,
to do it. That's
sure.
hard. That's hard, especially over the phone, like cold calling. That's very difficult.
Right. Is there anything you feel like we have not covered about the settlement so far?
Hmm. If not, we can always follow back up. We can do like how are things going with it?
1 month on.
Yes.
SpongeBob.
Yeah.
5 minutes later.
Yes. Exactly. Maybe we'll come back later and be like, I hate it.
I'm sure that the forms will change. I'm sure that there's more change that's going to be happening.
Yeah.
And it's funny how people have been very reactionary to that. And it's like, we're all kind of working through this together, like, calm.
Yeah, that's what I to me, like I already mentioned, I think it's just a whole new world and I kind of like that. The people who are good at adapting are going to adapt and
Nice.
do well.
Nice.
So, it's just another opportunity. And I think, for agents who are scared about these changes, they need to view it in a different perspective. It's another opportunity for you to show your worth over other people who don't know what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
And every change that real estate has can be an opportunity. And
Mm-hmm.
the more that you lean into that and just get ahead of, you know, others that may be pushing back on it, then you're just going to set yourself up. So,
Yeah. For the buyer's agents, I would say just like really review the form, know it inside and out, know what everything means.
right.
I think you'll feel more confident asking, your buyers to sign it if you know exactly what it is. So
Absolutely.
just be educated in the forms and, be educated in your own value.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's for buyers, agents, sellers, everything.
Yeah.
Just be educated in your own value and make sure that you can articulate it,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll be okay.
I think we'll be
So,
good.
thanks for checking in with us on this changes. Changes.
Oh my gosh.
Do we want to do our mistake?
Sure. You or me?
I don't know. Don't know if I've thought of one.
I
I'm sure
haven't
there
thought
is
of one.
one.
Um, hmm.
I guess, okay. I guess for this episode, I can say my mistake is I probably should have role played signing that buyer broker agreement. It would have been easier. It
That's a good idea.
was it the end of the world? No. Was it awkward?
That's a good
But
idea.
yeah,
I haven't done any role play with my agents. I've basically just gone over the paperwork and be like, this means this, this means this.
right.
If they say this, this is a good whatever. You would say
Response.
this.
Yeah.
But no actual role playing, but that's a good idea. I should really do that.
Yeah. Because it's better to be awkward in front of people that you know and who can help correct or just give you slightly better words, really, and give it so it's second nature and it's just never probably worry about again.
I'm awkward all the time with people I know and people I don't know. That's just my default state of being.
You are not awkward all the time.
Super awkward all
You
the
are
time.
not awkward all
But
the
I've come to be okay with that.
Yeah. Okay. Again, anybody who looks perfect all the time or who's Instagram, they're not perfect.
Right.
Not being real. Something's going on there. It's
Yeah.
okay. Be yourself, be genuine, and
Yeah.
happen for the right reasons.
I feel like authenticity is like a I don't know.
It's always been an undercurrent for us at the very least.
Yes.
Yeah.
The timing was bad. And we have a tutoring session at the same time.
Okay.
So I turned on my sound makers.
I do hear like
Fan noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's fan noise.
I was like, are we on a plane?
There's nothing to see behind the curtain.
There's not.
Okay, does it sound better? More clear now?
It does. Yeah, it does.
Okay. Yeah, I had 2 sound machines on. There's still more sound machines, but they're farther away from the microphone. So I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, it sounded like we were on a plane.
Yeah. Yes. Let me take my necklace off because it keeps hitting things. Ugh.
I know. I took mine off because it was down here and I was like, you can't see it, so what's the point?
No necklace for you either. And that brings us to the end of another exciting episode of In 3 Nerds We Trust. Thank you for listening and hanging out with us today. If you have any questions or topic suggestions, reach out to us at in3nerdswetrust@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you, so don't hesitate to reach out. If you found some value in today's episode and want to stay connected, here are a few ways you can do that. Subscribe to In 3 Nerds We Trust on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Leave us a rating and review on any of the platforms. Your feedback helps us improve and reach a wider audience. Share this episode with friends, family, or anyone who might enjoy the thoughts and insights we shared today. We'll have a new episode every other week, so please stay tuned for more interesting topics. Thanks again for your support, and follow us on Instagram and YouTube as well. Bye!